Welcome back to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and the women who are slapping the meat in the middle of the squared circle, and they're telling the stories in the process. I'm Golden Boy, you got Matt, you got Jake. We're gonna yap about some pro wrestling storylines today. Why don't you join us? Fellas, how you feeling? You guys good? You guys doing all right?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Not
too shabby. It's weird. I'm on the road in the middle of the week. It's very strange.
Oh yeah. Can you talk about why you're on the road, or
I mean, it's out there. No, it's out there. We were supposed to do TNA tapings.
Matt
in
is
South
on
Carolina.
the run.
He's off the grid.
Can you talk about it? What
I don't know. I don't know if you were like recording something, like from a undisclosed location. You know what I mean?
No, we're trying to get people to come out because now
Parts unknown.
We're here in Nashville, which is the home to the TNA kind of home base studios, Skyway Studios. So yeah, we were obviously supposed to be in South Carolina last weekend, but obviously Hurricane Helene, very rough shape that whole region's in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we canceled those, moved. We're gonna make up for an extra week. It's a best of show this week, which is always unfortunate. Like, we got to put together some clips, but we're gonna get the rest of the 3 weeks. The lead up to Bound for Glory is coming out, and it's really cool actually because here in Nashville we're gonna be doing. It's kind of like a pop up show, last minute. Tickets are not that expensive. We're kind of making them a special thing, but also every single dollar is going to go to help victims and everybody in Spartanburg and that area where we were going to be.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And help and try to send and help a little bit with the relief effort down there. So
Nice.
Awesome.
Try to do a lot while also getting some business done.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that Logan Paul sent a bunch of Prime to people in like North Carolina and stuff.
Prime?
Yeah, so like cases and pallets of Prime, and I'm like haven't they suffered enough?
I guess. Or you could have just bought water.
Haven't they suffered enough?
Water? Yeah, actual water or money or.
I guess if you need some extra fuel, you know what I mean, to just put in your car.
I guess the thought is if we can shift the pH balance of the water, everyone will float.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. Oh Lord, yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I guess it's the thought that counts. And let's not be negative Nancy's.
Help is help. True.
Yeah.
Help is help. Even if it's something that could give you diabetes. But that being said, though, we want to let you guys know you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can also check us out on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Wherever you decide to get your podcast goodness. Today we are going to be talking about the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I
sneezed. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to also mention something real fast.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about what we're discussing today. But first, we have to talk about Alabama. Absolutely shocking the world. I got to watch that with Jake, Matt, and that was a fun experience. That, let me tell you, watching college football with Jake Bennett is so fun.
Did they win then?
They did. The highest
my
heart rate hit 141.
He was gonna die, man.
At one point in the game. Yeah, I mean, my watch was like, "What's going on?" They're like, "Are you running a marathon?" It was awesome. I mean, GB came over and we kicked the shit out of him in the first half, and then
almost choked it.
Got the shit kicked out of us in the second half, and then
who'd they play?
To Georgia, number 1 Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah,
and not Georgia Tech.
Nope, not Georgia Tech. Although Georgia Tech as well as Georgia are both mentioned in our fight song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we used to be big. We used to play Georgia Tech a lot.
Okay.
We don't.
Okay.
That's you, Marks. That's free advertising for the enemy. What are you doing? You've been keeping focused on your own brand. You don't talk about other people. That's the song that'll live on for generations.
Yeah.
You gotta just focus inward.
And now they don't play us anymore, which ought to tell you how much we kick the shit out of them.
There it is. So now the song's in there almost as an insult.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's quite impressive.
Yep.
But Jake has a shrine set up for the stadium, for Bryant Denny Stadium. It's beautiful.
I don't have a shrine.
He's got
I have
a gorgeous
a photograph. It's not a
no, but honestly,
photograph.
It was an absolute blast. I am now Alabama fan.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm got two of you guys.
Crimson,
now.
Yeah.
Crimson
Get him a
Tide
hat, Jake.
all the way. Crimson Tide.
I'll get him one. I'll get him one.
Oh,
Look, I
man.
treated him well. Southern hospitality. I made
truly
him
did.
my own barbecue sauce from scratch.
Yes, he did, which
Good shit.
was absolute fire.
Okay.
I'd
I'd buy that.
Strongly
Yeah.
suggest you bottle that and sell it. But other than that, yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. So yeah, shout out to the Crimson Tide picking a massive win. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next with the rest of the season. Enough college football. Let's go ahead and move on to some pro wrestling, shall we? And have our first point of discussion, which is about AEW Grand Slam. We talked about it on last week's show, and I figured we'd follow up a little bit on what we saw, what took place, what transpired. Overall, I would definitely say super exciting show. New York crowd was hot. They were giving the performers a lot to work with, which was great. Shout out to my people. Missed the Big Apple. That being said, we had some results that were certainly surprising. Well, maybe not as surprising as we would, we definitely felt like it would come to this, but just the fact that we got here is surprising. Jon Moxley defeats Darby Allin. Now Jon Moxley is the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. Do
you think that was the plan, or do you think that was they wrote themselves into a corner and we're trying to figure out how to get out of it? I don't know. It just seems odd to me to
I don't know, man.
I mean, because it's kind of felt that way a few times when they've done Money in the Bank, where it's like, wait, we don't think we want this guy to win anymore. Or
And then they put the Money in the Bank on the line. Somebody else wins it. Yeah, I also don't know. I feel like this is pure speculation.
Because it's not like Darby's not popular.
Yeah.
No. So I wonder, if it with, I know ever since when was it when Darby's been hurt? I mean, he's been banged up, kind of in because he was hurt and then got called back early. Remember? And he said, "Yeah, screw it, I'll show up," even though he wasn't 100% fully healed. So maybe he's just kind of dealing with they're gonna go with him, and he's just like, "Nah, dude, never mind. My neck's been broken for 6 months."
I just assume his natural state is a little injured. That just seems like Darby's vibe.
Yeah,
for sure. But I mean,
so
the way he wrestled this clearly too, he was going all out.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But I don't know. I also think it could be. And again, we're not trying to speculate on this show, right? We kind of are reacting to what is presented to us. So in what was presented to us, I'm gonna foresee a little bit of super early fantasy booking here. Maybe it's this is just Darby Allin's a continual underdog, right? He's getting there. He's getting close. It's stripped away from him. He's getting a little too big for his britches, and but he's gonna learn, and he's gonna get better, and he's gonna keep. That's his whole MO. Is he went from this just wild stunt guy, which he still is, and the kind of the Sting's part. He's had this really cool rise. And now I think we're going to start seeing that legitimate climb up the card of a la, which is why I still maintain my thing from last week, a la Bryan Danielson in both WWE and in, the Indies, Ring of Honor and stuff. Kind of an underdog guy who clawed his way to the top, maybe wasn't expected to be there by a lot of people. And I do still think maybe he's the guy Bryan Danielson puts out on his way out when he does eventually drop the AEW World title. So I think this is part of that story.
You bring up a good point about Darby's career trajectory. It feels like a 2K career mode storyline.
A little bit.
Because he's this skater dude, not super well known, but then, has a kind of this grassroots crowd that starts,
especially
like,
because
really,
like the skateboard thing is so, seems so weird and like gimmicky character. You're like, this is a stupid
and
thing
him
you would
just
create.
using his body as a weapon. And
But
now
it's
he's tagging with Sting, and it's like, okay, sure he is. And now he's he's just always in the middle of shit. So yeah, I mean, it's he's had this weird kind of arc, but maybe it is like a, you know, Danielson loses it to Mox and I'm going to take it off Mox.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that kind of situation. I don't know.
Honestly,
but I was a little surprised. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be retrospectively surprised that Mox won it, because it seemed once that challenge was made and like with how BCC has been built, it felt kind of like a foregone conclusion, but but retrospectively to me, like beforehand, I was like, they're going to take his title shot away? You kidding me? And then they did it, and I'm like, well, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Well, I guess they kind of have telegraphed it to an extent.
To kind of also lean into the promos and what was being said and everything like that, like the narrative is Darby Allin isn't ready. That's like that's what Jon Moxley just kept telling him, is like, you're not ready. Right. The whole reason why he did this is because, and this kind of goes back to what we were referring before, where, you know, we're like, the writing was on the wall for like what it is that this thing was, right? Like, it's a new stable, right? You know, they got Marina Shafir very actively involved in this thing. Pac is now going to be, you know, lumped into this because Death Triangle is no more. You got, you know, this story with Wheeler Yuta that's been developing, Claudio turning too. So, you know, like all of it just, and then of course, like him making such a big statement after Danielson won by suffocating him with a paper bag. So I think that like it makes so much sense that he would win this, because if he didn't, what the hell was all that crap for? Right. And sometimes you can lose and still get to that, which is what they just did with Hangman. Right. Because like everything made so much sense. It's like Hangman's entering into the Owen. Hangman's going to win the Owen. That makes a lot of sense because Hangman's going to take finally fight Swerve, and, you know, his demons are going to catch up to him. But then little do you know that like, well, that's happening. This other story of like Bryan retiring is like, you know, kind of happening parallel to Swerve and Hangman. And then they're like, great, we can take the title away from this. Let Swerve and Hangman have that, you know, bloody match. And then you kind of go off into your merry way in this direction. So I think they've been like pretty smart about how they did this. But when it comes down to speculation regarding Darby having that number one contender spot, it's like, yeah, maybe they were like confident that they could like pull the trigger on him. Maybe he was injured. Maybe he's not feeling 100%. Maybe they just have a better story to tell. Maybe there's just more meat on the bone in another direction.
Could be.
I don't know. It's fascinating though, man. It's fascinating to see how this all builds out. Speaking of though, that actually does take us over to another one that was quite interesting. And Jake, you have some opinions on this. The tag team matchup between the Young Bucks and Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. We talked about it for the last 2 weeks. First, we weren't sure how we felt about it. Then we're like, well, you know, it is going to be a good tag match. Surprise, surprise. It was a great tag match. No one should be shocked with that one. But it was what happened in the match that I thought was interesting. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to catch this clip here. Well, but there was a moment. There was a moment where Don Callis goes up to Kyle Fletcher. All the carnage and chaos is going on. And then Don Callis hands Kyle Fletcher a screwdriver. Remember, we talked about this. We said somehow, some way, Don Callis is going to be the shithead that ruins this. And then
does he travel with a screwdriver?
Does he? Yes. How does he get a screwdriver? How does he get it through TSA?
I'm like,
and it's the same bright neon teal screwdriver, but this time around he gives it to Kyle Fletcher. And then Will Ospreay is like, no, bruv, we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it the right way, bruv. And then they lost. But yeah, I mean, Jake, like this was how we thought this was going to go Now the question is, does this create a kind of, splinter division? Does this get Will Ospreay more into that picture, right?
Into the tag division?
Oh no, into Don Callis. This brings him back into the Don Callis picture.
I think definitely so. I mean, it was clearly given to Fletcher for a reason. It's like, hey, I already had Will do this once, and look, he's not part of our team anymore, but you are, so you're going to do what I tell you to do. And Ospreay refuses to let him do that when the whole point of Callis bringing him in was to bring gold to the Callis family.
Yeah.
And now he hasn't done that. So now I feel like it's going to be, I can really see us building toward a, like another program between Don Callis family and Will Ospreay, except with him as an actual face this time. I don't know.
I was going to say, we never really got there initially.
Well, yeah, we never really got there, but we did have those matches as a, let's see how we.
Yeah, it was that primer, and maybe we'll get the culmination now,
right?
And then the heated, because they had that whole like, we're gonna get trial, the best versus the best, Takeshita and Hobbs and everything versus Will, and then to your point, I want you here because I want you to bring gold to the Don Callis family. What was Don Callis's kind of thing, and then when Will Ospreay wins gold, like what does he do? He goes, hey, I'm gonna go out on my own. Yeah, like thanks for everything, but I'm on my own. I want to do this by myself. So it's like, what the hell? My golden goose. Just when he's taken off, he's leaving. So now Don Callis thinks, here's my chance to reel him back in. It'll blows up in his face, and maybe now is the time they go, screw this. You're gonna pay back now for failing us multiple times, for abandoning us for one, and now for failing us. And we don't forgive a second time.
Fellas, if I may.
Okay.
No, you may not.
I have.
Damn it!
Some fantasy.
Wait a minute, boys. I have some thoughts and opinions.
I'm surprised there's not a graphic for that yet.
There will be. Okay. Ricochet.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Ricochet's kind of just been like, meandering, fluttering here and there. Oh, what does Ricochet do? And Will Ospreay's been talking all this shit to Ricochet time and time again, right? So Ricochet leaves where he was before, leaves the comfort. They've been like mentioning that. Ricochet's been mentioning that in interviews and stuff like that lately too. And now he's here in AEW. He's been put in hot seat, big matchup. What do you think would be, what's the best way to get that gold that you so desperately wanted? Is to get, and you also need, you kind of need Ricochet to get a little bit of a character.
Well, and that's the thing, like the whole, you're making the exact point I was going to make.
Go for it. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it from you. But our minds were connected.
It's great minds, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, one thing that people have always harped on with Ricochet about is promos, right? And I actually think he's been pretty good on the mic since he got to AEW. Maybe because he's not so worried about what he has to say, and just says what he wants to say. But a big part of the reason that he came over to AEW was he wanted something different, right? He wanted to he wanted to be and do something different. He was a face the whole time he was in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, why not turn heel? Why not join the Callis family? And he's the one who is battling and becomes the golden goose for the Callis family. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And it would immediately raise the prestige of everybody in the Callis family. It would give it more attention.
I think Ricochet should win tonight. I think he should win. I think he should.
I don't know how it didn't enter my mind, but until you guys both started talking about it, man, first Alabama, now this, you guys are mind melded.
Go Crimson Tide!
Yeah, roll tide.
But yeah, I didn't even put that one together. But as soon as you guys are saying it, like that is a perfect, and you need, I think a character, yes, more than anything, and something to really sink his teeth into. A great heel turn, which is new for Ricochet, like you said. And then also, I mean, I think he needs a little launch pad, and I think, you know, Will's been so damn good and had such a winning streak, and he's had a few like losses here and there now. He's not perfect, but like has had such a strong winning streak. He can now afford to. I hate even saying the term afford to lose, because again, it's just as long as the story's good, who cares what the wins and losses are? And this would be a great story, other than Will just clean beating his old, you know, rival and friend or whatever. What a great story opportunity you have here.
Yeah. I think I don't want to get everyone's you know, like worked up though. I don't think we should, because, you know, wherever the story goes, like I'm one of those people that, like, my whole perspective on life is just I'm in for the journey. You know, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So I'm just trying to just enjoy the story that these wrestlers want to tell. So wherever they decide to take it, they can take it. It's perfectly fine. But what I would do is personally that I would do it that way, because Will needs, like, the international title has clearly become the de facto, like, you know, number 2 title in the company, and the TNT title has become the kind of like development, you know, like you're trying to build someone, you build them with the TNT title, right? Like, I think Adam Copeland's a really good example of that, because granted, yes, Edge is a megastar without a doubt, but Edge in AEW, or Adam Copeland in AEW, is a little different. So they use the TNT title and the open challenge and all that stuff to, like, really kind of bridge that gap and allow characters to kind of integrate into the show. They're doing that with Jack Perry right now. Jack Perry is really building himself up with that TNT title reign that he's putting together currently. Whereas the international title kind of felt like what the World Heavyweight Championship is in AEW, or sorry, in WWE. You know, it's got like a kind of number 2, but
like
not
a 1A,
like a 1A almost.
Yeah,
it feels like that. Not to say that, like, you know, the World Heavyweight Championship, because if anything, I think nowadays they're doing a way better job making it feel like 1A, 1B. Than back in the day, it was like 1A, and this one was like, it's 1A, 1B, but more like 2A, you know?
Yeah.
So I certainly do feel like there is something to be said about how they've been taking their stories with these characters. But that also kind of leads to some question marks, right? Because AEW, they tend to take right turns when they don't need to. And this time around, they did so in such a manner that has been quite perplexing for a lot of people online. So Dynamite is celebrating 5 years of existence, which is crazy. You know, congratulations to AEW. Does that real quick though? How long was WCW? How long did WCW last for?
WCW lasted
I mean, it lasted for a long time, but you're talking about on TV?
But yeah, on
no,
TV.
you're talking about Nitro?
Yeah, like Nitro. Nitro was
Nitro debuted 94,
Yeah.
and I believe ended in 2000, so 6 years.
6 years. Wow. I mean, it's kind of crazy that AEW is catching up to that.
And if you want, like, something else I was thinking about, like,
Impact has surpassed that. That's crazy.
From Raw's first episode in think about from Raw's first 5 years, went from 1993, those initial, the big RAW and 1, 2, 3 Kid and everything. And then by the time you get to 5 years, that's 98. They're starting the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Like that. Think about how much change happened there. Like, that's the kind of lifespan we're talking about.
That's crazy. Actually,
A little bit.
you know, might be worth to, like, go back and explore what the first 5 years, like, kind of recap it on our end. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool to kind of, like,
for
find touch points.
Information's sake, September 4th, 1995 through March 26, 2001 is how long Monday Nitro ran.
So 6 years.
So 6 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. And AEW's at 5 years now, and they're showing no signs of slowing down.
Mhm.
And, you know, freaking TNA is doing great things as well. It's freaking wild, man, how pro wrestling has changed. I'm actually, weirdly enough, it is a bit of an off-topic thing real quick, but I started watching a Mr. McMahon documentary. And
I finished it.
I'm at episode 2, But it was very fascinating to hear the way that they were talking about pro wrestling back then, and just how fundamentally different it is now.
Oh my God.
From how it was spoken, or like I actually equate what happened in pro wrestling, right, to what I witnessed in esports, which I think was really interesting. Because the way they were talking about it, it was like pro wrestling was like you were like a pariah if you were watching pro wrestling, right? You were like oh, what are you doing? This is weird. Why are you watching this? It's mudslinging, hillbillies like this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then MTV happened.
That's my people.
Well, I mean, nothing wrong with it.
But it was the ultimate. It was blue collar soap opera. It was the blue collar, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little. It was low class seen as a little bit.
And then comes Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, man.
And Hulk Hogan. And hearing the story of Hulk Hogan, all it did was illustrate further disdain for Hulk Hogan. That's all that documentary has done for me, is just illustrate Hulk Hogan knew nothing. He was just, Vince McMahon told him to go do something and he went and did it. That shit is hilarious, man. Oh, I'm very happy about where we are with wrestling today, watching a lot of the older stuff and even that documentary. You know what I mean? Like it's so much better now because we can actually talk about real stories. But leaning into that though, what happens with a bit of a side there with the Okada Bryan situation, because as we have learned, the Continental Championship will be up for grabs. But wait, there's more, because it will be up for grabs for 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes of the match. Did I read that right? Hold on.
Yep.
Yes, you did.
I got a graphic real quick.
Well, because that was the gimmick with Continental title matches. They had a 20-minute time limit, right?
That's right.
So they threw it,
shit.
But AEW World title matches do not. So they combined them here instead of just making it a title for titles. So like, oh well, which title matches rules? They went a little convoluted here. Yeah, which
to me just telegraphs the entire result.
Does it?
Yes, he's not Okada's not beating Bryan, and Bryan's not winning within 20 minutes. He's just not.
That's kind of where I was going to, because I'm like,
there's no way.
Yes.
So if Okada, is this a two-fall matchup? So if Okada did pin Bryan in 15 minutes, does he?
It says title for title, but that's only valid in the first 20 minutes.
So, why are
we booking title matches like a coupon?
I
valid
know.
Only in certain locations.
Yeah, read the fine print.
Yeah.
It should be much simpler. I do agree with that. It's a little convoluted, and as somebody who is an announcer for a company that we have a history of some convoluted matchups.
I feel like it's a tough one for you to talk on, because TNA is like the king of convoluted.
We're getting better, but we even can chuckle at it. Yes, we've had some ridiculous multi-step kind of things.
And I don't mind convoluted matches. I actually want to be very clear here in that I support this. Okay, this is why this is silly, but I support it. All right, because it's pro wrestling, man. Who gives a shit?
The fans give a shit. Is the point?
No,
It muddies the water.
Yeah, but it does,
yes,
because
I'm here. I'm a pro wrestling veteran, and I'm asking a question like, oh wait, so if he wins it in the first one, does he get both? Does he just get one? And then what if they do this? Like,
but the other thing is, it seems like we're asking this kind of question about an AEW match every 3 months, because there was something else. It was another AEW match, literally like a few months ago, and I can't remember which one it was, where we were having the same debate of, well, wait, so if this happens, does that? Because then this, and then it just was this weird, like, if I have to have a flow chart to understand a match, you're doing too much.
That's fair. I get it. I'm just excited to see Okada versus Bryan. So
Yeah, that'll be great, but it feels like it's a way to just have them both keep their titles and wrestle each other.
I think Jake hit it on the head.
You're right. When you're right,
it'll be over 20 minutes and Bryan will win.
But what happens though? What? So you think nothing is going to come out of this? You think they're doing this matchup? So what do you think comes out of it? Nothing.
Ratings.
I truly
that's
don't.
All they care about.
Bryan is going to Mox and BCC. Okada is just the man with the elite. I think this is just an attraction match between two great pro wrestlers who've had a little bit of a history, so it'll pop some interest. But I think it's just another marquee thing to put on a 5th anniversary show. I don't think there's long-term storyline implications for these two at the moment.
That's fair. You know, this can either end up being, you know, something significant, or it could end up just being like when CM Punk faced Bryan on Main Event. You know what I mean? When they both were champions. It was like a champion versus champion matchup. But either way, I think 5 years of Dynamite. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Hopefully they kind of call back some old moments and things like that. There have been some really fun ones on the show. But also I'm curious to see what the fallout is from Grand Slam, how that plays out here.
That's a really good point, GB. I think, and that's something I hope that they do. It's something WWE's been good about in the past on like anniversary shows and everything like that. Yeah. And I think it would add, because I think there's still this idea, and like they are still a young company, don't get me wrong, but there's still this, I feel like, idea of just like, this whippersnapper, this company, they're figuring their stuff out, which they are, but like they have a history now. Like they have this a little bit of a legacy now. And so I think to call back to that and have those little, in between segments of like 4 years ago, March, 12th, 2020 or whatever. And just to remind people, like it gives a little gravitas, just a little bit. To remind you, like, oh yeah, man, they've been around the block a few times, man. Look at all the old daily placing. Look at the Brody Lee debut, Matt Hardy showing up, those early days, stuff like Sting of course. Like, so I think I can't imagine them not doing it, but as a small aside, like, I just hope they have a couple of really nice moments like that.
I just hope they get the infamous JR, not the Dippin' Dots. Just give me that one moment when Cody and Jericho, still one of my favorite feuds that AEW's ever put together, Cody versus Chris Jericho. Maybe we rebook that one. Maybe we'll do that. That's a good one to rebook one day. There have been some great moments on that show. I'm glad I got to be there for the first episode. It was super fun. They did it in Washington, D.C. Got to see Nia Jax, Nyla Rose. No, she's going to kill me. Nyla Rose go up against who was it? Oh dear Lord, Riho. It was Nyla Rose versus Riho for the Women's World Championship. Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a good show. All right, well, folks, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some WWE Bad Blood and Monday Night Raw. Don't go anywhere. This is Rebooked. Hey everyone, if you want to join us on Discord, you can go ahead and click the link in the description down below right here on YouTube, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Join us on Discord so you can be a part of the conversation when we talk about all sorts of things happening in the world of professional wrestling, on top of the fact that we're just a couple nerds. We just like talking about wrestling, talk storylines, talking all the fun stuff. Check us out on Discord. You can click the link down below. We'd love to have you join us. It's a good time, and we'll see you there. All right, folks, welcome back to Rebooked. So we talked about what's happening in the world of AEW, but now let's go ahead and yap about some WWE, shall we? Because Bad Blood is coming up this weekend. But before we talk about the Bad Blood card, and I want to also just debut this new graphic for those of you watching on YouTube. Let's go ahead and talk about what is going on in WWE. And Monday Night Raw was a banger last night. I gotta say, this episode, and I don't know if I'm in the minority in this, but or if I'm the only one who noticed it, but it was really cool to see how the supporting cast of WWE really like stepped up this episode of Raw. This episode had everything to do with everyone else other than the big people. Like, their stuff's already been established. Cody, sorry, not Cody, Drew and Punk. That was like straightforward. Didn't bleed into other segments of the show. It was what it was. And instead, you had more of an emphasis on Xavier Woods. You had more of an emphasis on, more Judgment Day side stories, right? Little things are happening there, like LWO stuff. You also got some Final Testament movement too. So yeah, Jake,
and
how did you feel about it?
And the Wyatts are sending a cryptic message to somebody.
Have you been following that at all? Because I have not, and I'm really what's happening there?
The video this week said, "We see your intent, anger festering into rage. Do not go down this path. It ends in your demise. You know better. Do not force our hand. Heed our admonition." That's what the video says.
Okay, so who's angry?
Is Xavier Woods angry?
Xavier Woods. We see your path. We see, you know what I mean? That's where my head goes. Don't go down this path. We see you're about to stab your own family in the back. Don't do it. You will be dealt with, kind of thing.
Or are they also attacking the source of that?
I was thinking that too.
Who is Final Testament?
Mm-hmm. It could be, the combo of that group. I don't know. I don't know that Woods joins Final Testament, but he could be caught in that crossfire.
Wait a minute. Why are we immediately blaming Woods? There is two people to tango in this situation here. It's the Kofi, bro.
Kofi does no wrong.
Hear me out. No. Hear me out. I'm about to spit. All right, because I'm gonna lay it down. This is the deal. All right. So what happens this week? And I'm gonna get some Xavier Woods pictures so that this way we can add some delicious context to all this stuff, because I came prepared and I have receipts. So here's the deal, right? Woods shows up and he's like gonna take on, a Rey Mysterio. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on there for him, right? And what ends up happening is he makes a judgment call, right? He makes a call. Rey Mysterio's mask comes off.
We play to win the game.
And he plays to win the game, and he gets a win. But here's the thing. Did he really get that win? No, obviously, right? He got a surprise roll-up. Rey Mysterio couldn't kick out. He couldn't, reveal his face.
So every match with a surprise roll-up is an invalid result.
No, that's not what I'm saying here. What I'm
saying
saying
here... It kind
here...
of sounds like that's what you're saying.
And I get it, and I totally get it. But here's the thing, right?
I didn't know you were so anti-Xavier Woods. When did this happen?
In fact,
when did you decide to turn your back on a man who embraced us at G4?
Quite the opposite. I'm actually making the case for why Woods is going down the path he's going down, but why Kofi is the actual culprit, and why Wyatt Six could actually be talking to Kofi. Because you see,
they could.
The thing is that Woods isn't ready for a match against the Intercontinental Champion.
How dare.
He's not. And Kofi knows this. So Kofi goes and says, "Oh, hey, let me go ahead and give it to Woods." But he's trying to make Woods feel like he's the one in like he's calling him the quarterback, QB. You making the call, you calling the shots, all this stuff, right? And then he calls the shots. Wait a minute, I got the picture. And then he calls the shots and he costs him his own matchup, right? Kofi, and look, you can go back, watch the tape. You could see how things kind of play out, but Woods makes a call. He's obviously leaning in the bad guy direction, don't get me wrong. But Kofi is nudging him in this. And I think that when it all comes down, it's going to be Kofi telling Woods, I told you, man, you're not ready to lead. I'm the one that's making the calls here. And when you make the calls, things go wrong, right? I think something's going on.
So
I think something's going wrong, fellas. All right, Jake, go for it.
Why? Why is Kofi doing that then?
I think maybe he thinks that either Woods is becoming dead weight for him, or because you can argue, right? Like, since Kofi lost the title, he hasn't really done much. So, and he's been tied to the hip to Woods the entire time. So,
I mean,
makes the case, right?
I will say
Woods
yeah.
sacrificed himself to help Kofi get a title shot.
I don't disagree.
So
Times are changing, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, I make money.
But hey, so I don't have specifics, but I have an interesting theory.
Okay.
And-
Shall I
and
throw up the
GB,
graphic? Should I throw up the graphic?
I wouldn't call it that because I don't have anything specific enough to actually book
okay.
things. But GB, you kind of piqued my interest. What an interesting way to turn a talent or to launch a talent or whatever. Because right now, no. Because right now they're giving us the very typical of like, all right, this talent needs a refresh, especially a well-established babyface. Let's move them towards a heel turn, and then they'll get really nasty and they'll go on a little run. Maybe they'll win a title. That's a tale as old as time, right? They get aggressive and they turn heel, and it usually sets them in some direction.
But everyone else is making him a heel.
Sure, but no. I'm actually going the opposite direction. What if though, a little bit like, what if Woods ends up being, he gets his like big maybe singles run out of this as a baby face, but they set it up by making it seem like he's in this heel position. Like you said, GB, like seems like he's doing the wrong things, but if there is, and again, this is why I don't have the specifics, but to your point, if we find out in weeks that it has been Kofi who's been kind of like wanting to schlep off Woods. I'm sick of carrying him. I'm sick of it. And Kofi ends up being the heel, but the only reason being, and the reason I say this, because these guys would do this for each other. Like Kofi would turn heel to make sure Austin would get like a big babyface run. So like it'd be a unique way. It turns out like to give me a little bit like a double swerve here. It is Kofi who's kind of the heel. He turns on Woods, but Woods ends up going up on Kofi and kind of going on a run himself, IC title, whatever it is. So instead of following what's been plainly laid out in front of us and making Woods a heel and he goes and does his own thing, it would be interesting to see a little bit of a loop-de-loop and get Kofi as part of this too. It could be interesting.
So then is it a Kofi has a legitimate beef, or is it Kofi, and I'm talking the storyline.
Yeah.
Is it Kofi have a legitimate beef with Woods, or is it, no, this is what I had to become, this is what I had to be so you could become the man you needed to be?
Yeah, I could see. I mean, I think you will ultimately end up with more meat on the bone if Kofi as a character legitimately wants to rid himself of Woods or has a beef with him. You know what I mean? I think there's more. We've seen a lot of great, amazing feuds from former friends. I think there's more meat on that bone as opposed to like he pushes Woods to the edge and then Woods wins something and it's like, hey, see, I told you, that's what you needed. Anyway, we're friends again. I think it's more interesting to have a betrayal somewhere between two friends.
Yeah. And also too, let's not forget that not only is there like a betrayal arc happening here, but there's also another betrayal arc that just popped up literally Monday Night Raw just not that long ago, which of course is The Miz turning on R-Truth. So it's like weird. You got these like two interesting betrayal storylines, but one of them very transparent, very straightforward with The Miz and R-Truth. And then I think that the Kofi and Xavier Woods one has just tons of layers to it because it makes sense, right? Like these guys, they've been tag team partners for so long. It makes sense that they're going to have so many layers with the story that they want to tell.
Right. And during their first backstage moment, Cross is in the background listening to them argue.
Yeah.
He's literally framed between them.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it's just great little moments.
A small aside, I'm sure absolutely not intentional because it doesn't need to be and nothing comes out of it. But I do kind of have to love on the two different shows having two characters kind of in the opposite position with Kevin Owens and Xavier Woods. A traditionally bad guy who's fighting his urges to be bad and trying to stay on the good path. Whereas Woods is a traditionally good guy who's now starting to see some opportunities on the low road and is finally deciding to take them. So they're kind of like both balancing these two sides of, the duality of superstar and having their own struggles with it. And it's kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I love it. I think both shows, they really are cooking. They're putting on some great storytelling angles. They're doing some excellent wrestling across the board. Presentation has been leveled up, significantly from just like outside of it. And I'm not even talking about like, oh, they got more LED lights. Like, no, they take more risks. They do more things. They're taking these stories in different directions. It feels like everyone who walks out of those curtains have like something meaningful to do. Yeah. And it's not just a match for a match, which was happening a lot back in the day. Like even the smaller ones, even the ones like when you think about like Michin versus Piper Niven, right? Like that one, it was just a small match. It was a fun match. It was good. They're building more like, women in the division so that they can have more like baby faces and they can, start to tell more stories that way outside of going to just the usual suspects. So it's good to see that they're taking those risks and they're allowing small stories to exist and also these like bigger stories. And then they can really lean on the supporting cast of their characters like they did in this episode. Because like I said before, you got a little bit of Damian Priest, you got a little bit of Rhea, you got a little bit of Drew, you got a little bit of Punk, you got a little bit of Gunther. You know what I mean? Like you really didn't get, all that much. It was really focused on the sum of everything rather than just
something as before we do these shows, I will sometimes do and kudos to WWE and their social department. They put up great recaps. So sometimes to catch up on the things I miss, like I'll watch some of those. Something I did notice to your point, GB, especially. So SmackDown's recap this week is pretty short though. It was like 6.5 minutes. Of that 6.5 minutes, 4.5 of it are Cody and the Bloodline and all that stuff. They did almost the whole opening promo and then the segment at the end. And then in 2 minutes, they squeezed the rest of the show in. Raw's recap was like 15 minutes and like 3 minutes of this, 3 minutes of this, 4 minutes of that, 5 minutes of this, 2 minutes of this. It seemed much more spread out. And I think that just illustrates the amount of a little bit more diversification on Raw versus concentration on SmackDown.
Well, it's also a testament to not treating your audience like they're stupid. You don't have to keep dangling the keys in front of them to let people know that they're there. So that's why they're able to do this kind of stuff like they did on Raw this week of like, listen, the big shit that's going on. Let us play with some other stuff. This is still happening in the background. We know you didn't forget about it. Yeah. And it's just nice when, like I said, you just don't treat your audience like you're dumb. And I think that that's a problem that, not just WWE has had, this whole entertainment industry has had for a long, long time is just stop treating audiences like they're dumb.
Yeah. I agree.
And so that's nice. Cause then you get more stuff. Like you said, there's this diversification of storylines and you can do a lot more. Especially also too, when you know what the hell is happening more than negative 15 minutes before the show has started. Yeah.
It's true.
So that's
it's planned out. It's clearly planned out. You can even see it in the promos. Like, everyone's going out there with confidence in what they're saying and what they're delivering. And even when things get sidetracked, it's still the same thing. They are still delivering exactly what you would want them to deliver. They've been truly nailing it across the board. And even, presentationally, and little things too that they've been knocking out of the park too. Actually, just one real small thing that I just want to commend real fast because, it's a tiny devil in the detail thing, but even WWE changing the Intercontinental Championship.
That's nice.
And like little like small bits, like just adding the blue into it, like the old one used to have. It's like this attention to detail that is clearly being put front and center for WWE right now. And I would even say AEW too. It's just the fact that like they pull from so many different sources of info, right? Because they have like guys who are in Japan, and like WWE does a great job of centralizing everything and making their universe feel really big, right? And I think that is that's been their superpower for a while now. And it's the reason why we can go into our discussion for, and by the way, fancy exit of the graphic too, is why we can go into our discussion for Bad Blood, because for a new pay-per-view, WWE has done an exceptional job of building this show, and I am very, very, very excited about it. So we're going to dive into the card, what we can expect, and really hone in on some of these matches. So we'll start first with one match that I think is going to be pretty fun, because it's these two guys who have been building toward this for a while now. It's Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. It's a blood feud. Doesn't have quite the same attention as Punk and Drew and Liv and Rhea do. It does, but not. They haven't gotten too far into it yet. This is definitely going to be the start of it, right? But fellas, I mean, it's going to be a good matchup. Who do you think walks away from this one? I think it should be Finn, personally.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think Finn could really use that fuel for his character. The little bit of the "I told you so" and I should have been the leader all along, or whatever, to kind of shove that message to him of like, see, this is what I mean. And being a heel and being in a heel faction, let there be shenanigans if necessary to protect Priest a little bit, but I think Finn could benefit from the win here for sure.
Yeah. Jake, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that I'm kind of split on is, and I hate like doing 50-50 booking. Do you have Priest win this, but Liv beat Rhea? I don't know. But I mean, because I guess my question is this story over? Is the story between the Terror Twins and Judgment Day over?
I don't think so. I don't think Damian and Finn is. I don't think Damian and Finn are over.
It's so tough. I mean, it's tough for me to decide, because I 100% agree that like that Finn really could use this too. But like, what happens with Damian if not? Because
it's not going to be a clean finish. It's not going to be clean.
Yeah, I
don't
think it will be either.
It doesn't need to be.
Bro.
What?
I'm not a Matt Riddle fan. I'm not doing that. But man, if you want to throw the fantasy booking graphic up, I mean,
if snap, son? Hold up. This is an occasion. Every time I get to use this thing.
God. You want to make a little buzz. You want to find a little reason to keep this Judgment Day, Terror Twins, Rhea, Damian Priest, whole feud going and everything, and you want to make a little history, whether it's War Games itself or just a Survivor Series matchup. Can we do the first ever intergender Survivor Series tag? Give us 3 guys and a girl versus 3 guys and a girl. Maybe it's, I don't know if it would be Yeetosaurus Rex over there with Jey Uso joining the Terror Twins to take on,
I think
Finn, JD, and
it'd be Judgment Day, and then I would imagine it'd be like Rey Mysterio, Damian Priest,
and Rhea.
Rhea.
So, but I don't know. You form a team, but the idea of it being
sick though.
Yeah, especially if you could do the cage, the War Games match with a woman involved. Again, WWE's getting more progressive. They're getting better with a lot of this stuff, and they're getting more inclusive with a lot of that interaction and everything like that. It'd be cool as hell to see. And I think, and Rhea and Liv being the two to kind of do that in that form would be really cool too. And I think they'd be down for it, and it would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Rhea and Liv, let's just go ahead and talk about that one then. We might as well. So, not sure what's going to end up happening with Finn and Damian. I do expect shenanigans for sure. But for this one's weird because Liv hasn't really been able to get off the ground as a champion because she has been in the orbit of Rhea, but it has been great. Yeah. So it's like, do you end it? How many times can she get away with winning? But obviously the real standout to this is this right here is
yeah.
Why is he so happy to be in the cage?
He's too happy to be behind bars.
Yeah. I didn't even see the picture, man. This is too funny. Look at his face. Why is he so enthusiastic about this? Holy shit. Yeah. So I mean, what I guess in this instance, what do we want to see happen here?
I want Liv to keep rolling with this a little bit. I think there is a point. I mean, the question would be, given their history, I think, the better question is, rather than just who wins a match based on, does Rhea need to be the one to end Liv's title reign?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Narratively speaking, in theory, you would say yes. She, they had an issue. Rhea gets hurt. She goes away. The issue gets even crazier in the absence because Liv infects Dominic Mysterio, and then she comes back, and then all this happens, right? So, in narratively, maybe your answer is yes, but I don't know. But there is more to consider than that. I would like to see more from Liv as champion, but at the same time, if Rhea does have to be the one in this story to kind of fell Liv, when does it happen? That's the next question then.
Yeah. This is our only title match, right? I think.
As far as I know.
Yeah. Interesting. Only title match. Will we see a title change?
Well, remind me, is there a SmackDown Women's title match?
Oh, that's right. Bailey and Nia are going. And that's another one. That one's actually been very fun. I've quite enjoyed the build to that one on SmackDown. Weirdly enough, they didn't have a graphic for it on WWE.com. But I'm very, very excited for that matchup. Because
is that at Bad Blood or is it on SmackDown?
That's at Bad Blood. Okay. Because the story that has been told there is that Naomi and Bailey, they had their one-on-one matchup. Naomi lost it to Bailey, but they both got the pin onto Nia. And there's something that I think can happen because this is yet again Naomi coming up short. And they've really been leaning into that of Naomi being like, damn, what the hell? What's going on? Like, I can't win this, So I think there's something that can actually come about there. Because Naomi and Bailey had an excellent matchup. And I would like to see that maybe continue forward. Meanwhile, you also have Tiffany Stratton orbiting Nia with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's been very well put together. We'll see what happens with that matchup. Fortunately, you don't have a graphic for it. Who wins that one though?
Nia.
I think Nia wins it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to take the belt off of her right now, right? Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Our next one. Might as well do this one because I have a longer discussion piece that I want to do for Punk versus Drew. Our tag matchup, Cody, Roman, going up against the new Bloodline, Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. Massive matchup for Jacob Fatu because, he's going to be in the ring there with Roman and the WWE champion. The story has been Cody and Roman. Can they coexist in the ultimate way possible? That's the ultimate. Can they coexist? And then there's been Kevin Owens and Randy Orton.
You make to that point.
Yeah.
I love, though, in this situation, it's less of a question, at least the way they've been writing SmackDown. It's not a question of can they coexist. It's a question of should they coexist. His friends questioning. Again, there is, of course, a can you trust him, but it's more of like, I don't even care if you can trust him in this matchup. You shouldn't be teaming with this motherfucker. had a reign of terror over this company for 4 years. So like, I like that teeny little twist on the old, can they, but more of a question of, should they even be doing this?
Yeah. Not a matter of can they, it's a matter of should they.
Yep.
It's very true. And I mean, like, but these three guys have been doing some amazing work on SmackDown with this story. I've really enjoyed it. If any, it's a different way to do the WWE Championship. You know what I mean? It's a different way to do a title reign, which I quite have enjoyed, you know, because he's been fighting good guys. He's been fighting bad guys, Cody. He's been dealing with this new bloodline. Now we know Roman had nothing to do with it. So Roman's now trying to stop it. And it's everyone's trying to, but what's been weird for me, and I guess the part that I haven't really resonated with here, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but you know, Cody's talking about this bloodline is such a threat. I haven't gotten that vibe outside of Jacob Fatu. It doesn't, I don't really feel like they are so dangerous.
That's why I think they win.
Yeah.
I think I'm just for narrative's sake, I think they should win. Because I don't know how you get to a War Games match if they don't. Because if they lose here, no one gives a shit about the bloodline anymore. They're dead.
Yeah.
They are DOA at the next event. That's why I think they're going to win, because the whole thing is going to be, it's 2-on-2, but it's never just 2-on-2. It's never just 1-on-1 with the bloodline. It never, ever is. Did we see one of Rikishi's 43rd children come into the picture at Bad Blood? I don't know. But yeah, to me, I just think I think it's maybe born of a moment of maybe Cody and Roman can't get along. Maybe that's partly why they lose, is they're always looking over their shoulder at each other or something. And then, you know, here comes the numbers game. And now it's who does Cody tuck his tail and go talk to at the next SmackDown? His good old buddies, KO and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Guys, I need help. Oh, now you want to help. Now you want to come to us. Your grand plan of going to the tribal chief didn't play out, and now you need us after all. And maybe they lose at Survivor Series as well. And that is what causes Kevin Owens and maybe even Randy Orton to flip on Cody.
Man, this one is, I think, just getting started with this story.
That's going to be a hell of a triple threat match when it, I think, inevitably has to happen.
Is that the direction it goes in? It goes into a triple threat match.
Eventually, I don't know if it's he faces each of them individually again. Like he already did it with Kevin. I mean, I feel like a match with Randy is on the horizon. But I think, I don't know if it's the Rumble or something like that. I think this friendship explodes in the next few months and we get a three-way somewhere.
I just had a quick funny thing where I'm like, imagine a world where Kevin Owens wins the championship and you're like, oh my God, KO's champion again. I'd love to live in that world. I'd love to live in that world. And then The Rock shows up. And then he basically gets Goldberged all over again.
The humanity.
You go to hell. You go to hell for putting that out in the universe.
You go to hell and you die.
Good God.
That would be absolutely hilarious. Okay. I did have, I'll save it for the end of the show. But the question that I want everyone to think about right now, this second, who's winning the Royal Rumble, men and women? Right now, this second. And I want to ask this question every week until we get to the Royal Rumble. Because I think that this is interesting, right? We have a tendency to think really far ahead of like what we think the story can be, because this is what we do on this podcast, right? But for me, it's like, there are some question marks. And who is being set up to win the Rumble, I think, is actually a pretty big one. And they've, granted, last year, you know, they kind of had a right turn But yeah, think about that. Well, we'll answer that question at the end of the show.
I have my answer.
Ooh, I might have an answer
Save
too.
it. I want to hear it for the end. I want to hear it for the end. All right. Sounds good. Well, speaking of two guys though who could very well be contending for the Rumble, leads us to the matchup that I wanted to spend the majority of the time talking about here.
That probably should be the main event.
Probably will be. Yes, it should be.
It should be. I can see them putting the tag match on. But
I can see them putting it on last two, and I
think this should be.
And I can see, not to do some more fantasy booking here, I can see that being the last match and the Bloodline having the cell lowered to keep people out from them beating the shit out of Roman and Cody.
That could also be the case too. Which would illustrate the necessity, excuse me, for War Games. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
Now this story has gone on for a long time now. When it started literally at WrestleMania. Well, before WrestleMania, but WrestleMania was when it really started to jump into gear. That's when we started to get more physicality between the two wrestlers. Now here we are. It's October. 10 months now have passed by. No, it's been 7 months. Excuse me, right? 7 months. 7 months. I want to say.
I mean, really, a lot of this BS started.
You could say it's been a year
at the Rumble, or after the Rumble, after Punk got hurt.
Yeah,
and they started jaw jacking in February.
Yeah.
So 8 months now.
Now, who the fuck wins?
Yeah. I mean, look. Shout out to I part of me on Monday wishes Drew didn't explicitly call it out in the promo. It was totally fine because it was a great promo, but I did love them. Drew was in a black on black suit. Punk was wearing his normal white shirt, but he made the decision to wear white pants, and CM Punk normally does not wear white pants. So all white and all black. And Drew pointed out, like, hey, I'm in all black. It's like a funeral. I'm like, I almost wish he wouldn't have said that, and we would have just had the image of, your angel and your devil or whatever, kind of whatever interpretation you want to do. Yeah. But at this point, who wins? I am a pretty strong. I think you go with old school pro wrestling. I mean, this is so long. We've had so many up and downs, but your babyface comes out on top. He got,
which is who?
But that is the thing, because Punk
won the strap match, right?
Punk won the strap match.
Damn, I forgot about that. That was just.
So the way I see it is, Drew got his big win, right? To start this, because of shenanigans, right? And Drew hasn't been able to get a win over Punk yet. Then we get into the strap match, and Punk, has the dramatic moment with the bracelet, and we're fine for the bracelet, everyone. And he does his thing and he wins that, right? And it felt like it was a culmination of the story. But now it is boiled down to bitterness, anger, hatred, vitriol, hell in a cell. Who fits winning this better? I think it's Drew. I think Drew McIntyre wins this, because then you get CM Punk on a hero's journey to get to the top of the mountain again. Because I think that Punk just kind of getting slingshotted doesn't really help.
That's a good point.
I don't know. I don't really care that much if Punk wins this, because then I think Drew is the one who looks like an idiot more so than Punk.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point.
I like the idea of Drew winning because we've watched him go down this destructive path, right? And to me, him winning is for him will be confirmation bias. This is,
right.
I was right. This is who I should have been all along. This is the person I have to be. This has been what we've watched is an origin story almost for who Drew McIntyre is going to become. And I think he can kind of be an ultimate heel. I think he can really just play that to a T because he keeps harping on, like, he keeps bringing up these points where you're like, I mean, he's kind of right. He's kind of right. You know, Punk's done some shitty stuff but like, he's the one who's getting his name chanted, you know, and that just drives him even more mad.
Also, it was weird when Punk was like, my harshest critics always, you know, say the worst things about me. And it's like, dog, I mean, we have videos, like, like we know, like, you're not some angel, bro. Like, you know, and that is how he's trying to portray himself.
That also makes Drew's point.
Yeah.
You know, he can't stay. Yeah. The second city saint.
I can't. Yeah.
He can't. I bet Drew,
the voice
Drew
of the voiceless,
hates that. Yeah. He's like, no, he wants to expose CM Punk. He wants everyone to see what CM Punk is.
Yeah.
And I think Drew I don't think Punk needs the win because he's CM Punk, quite honestly. And I think this would do wonders for Drew.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Drew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal. And another reason I think Drew might win is because what if Punk gets hurt again in this match?
And that is a legitimate, you know, real life thing. But you are right. You know, I don't know how. I'll also look at it too, and it's like, what more are you hoping to get out of CM Punk at this point in time? Right?
Yeah.
Like, CM Punk being a champion in AEW made a lot of sense because CM Punk was a very big name returning to pro wrestling.
And they needed
him to be a champion in that point in time. Right? Not so much anymore, but they needed him then and there. Right? You don't need CM Punk to be champion here. In no world do you need CM Punk to be champion. You could have put the strap on Jey Uso, you would have been okay. You know what I mean? Like, if you need a baby face to be champion. And even in that moment when they get Jey Uso the championship and the Intercontinental side, that was like insane. So they have done the thing. They've built baby faces. They've proven that they can build baby faces. They just need to build them right. They need to build them intelligently. And I think, like, for Punk right now, right? Like, if he really wants to be like a white meat baby face, you know, good guy, him winning his bloody matchup against Drew McIntyre in Hell in a Cell covered in blood, I don't know if that is the way for him to do it. You know, whereas with Drew, he comes out looking like a vicious animal, you know?
Yeah.
I just see his face, just blood dripping down his face, and him just laughing, feeling vindicated. Like, I told all of you this. I just, I don't know. I think he can kind of have a similar trajectory as Hangman does.
Yeah.
I think you could do that with Drew a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
I'm excited.
I'm
it's going to
really
be a great
excited
matchup.
about this match. Yeah.
It's going to be a great match.
Finally, it's a match worthy of a Hell in a Cell.
Brother, ain't that the goddamn? You're so
Say
right,
it louder
bro.
for the people in the back.
You're so right.
Finally, not just because it's a pay-per-view, not just because it's Mania, but because it earned Hell in a Cell.
It really did. It really earned it. Yep. But it is quite funny to see how telegraphed this was all those months back.
Sure, but they still had with that press conference. I know
that press conference sticks in my mind, man, because it's like, oh, okay, that was a plant, clearly. Like, that guy was clearly a plant. But yeah, very, very cool. And we'll see, and we will reflect on it next week on this show, because I would say when we started this podcast, the storylines that stood out the most for us at the time was Cody and Roman. Obviously, we literally started this podcast with the pivot, the greatest pivot of all time, and it was the culmination of Drew and Punk. So it's kind of cool to see. We've tracked this storyline from its absolute inception, and now we're about to see it all come to an end.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is just, the start, not the start, but this is like one chapter in their story. You know what I mean? Like this is just not, this isn't necessarily the end, but
they're Batman and Joker, you know. I think maybe we
They
were
made
just
magic.
made to do this, you know.
They made magic for sure. And they have a lot to be proud of. So it's going to be really cool to see how this whole thing comes down. And Bad Blood this weekend. It's going to be sick. We can't wait to see how it all plays out. But that, of course, leads us to everyone's favorite segment of the week. It's your Rebooked 24. Wait a minute. What should we do first? 24/7 or Royal Rumble? We'll save Royal Rumble for the end. I want to save it for the end. You know why? I just want you to say it, and then we're gonna end the show so people can argue about it in the comments. So for now, we're gonna do our 24/7 champion of the week, and I have mine ready to go, and I think you guys are really gonna like it. Mine isn't necessarily it's not necessarily a thing. It's more of a post online that I just think it's nightmare fuel, and I saw it, so you guys have to see it now. And
Oh my God.
Mother of God.
It is a picture of Liv
Face
Morgan
swapped.
and Dominic Mysterio face swapped. And it is just absolute.
Nope.
It's nightmare fuel, man.
Nope.
I
Nope.
mean, I still would, I guess.
No! Oh, man.
Sweet mother of God.
Yeah. So that's my 24/7 champion of the week. Nightmare
good.
fuel for your dreams. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next because mine is not anything funny or anything, but I just want to give a big shout out just because they deserve it. And they've been working overtime the last several weeks, I feel like. Shout out to WWE. Probably, I don't know if Ellis is still there, but he's their big like stunt guy. Ellis and his crew it feels like they've blown apart the ring or the barricade like 18 million times in the last 2 months. Yeah. So once again, the kaiju battle, the last monster standing match was a lot of fun and chaotic, and they broke the ring again. So that crew pulling those stunts off have been working overtime. And so shout out to them. They're my champion of this week.
Yeah. That was I kind of feel bad that we didn't get to really talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
But the last monster standing matchup
It was so fun.
Was
So
everything
much fun.
you could possibly ask for in a war of that magnitude. It was so fun. I don't even remember who freaking won. I think it was Braun Reed?
Strowman won
No,
because
Braun Strowman won.
because
Seth
Seth came back and
was-
stomped Bronson Reed into the steel steps.
Which
That's
was
right.
great because it
was
protected
perfect.
everybody.
Yes.
Bronson is protected because he had to have somebody else come out and beat him. But you give a win to Braun, who's kind of been in that weird limbo until this feud. And then you get the return of a top superstar. So it was a really good piece of business for everybody.
Yeah, it really was actually.
Yeah.
Damn, that was so fun. Such a wild matchup, and the amount of just things that got destroyed around that set, all around that ring. Fucking awesome. All right, cool. I like that. I like giving some love to production. You know, we're a bunch of production nerds over here.
Oh yeah.
Jake, what about you, mi amigo?
All right. I don't know if you saw, GB. I sent you a message on Discord with a picture. I'll tell you when to put it up there.
Okay, you got it.
Of my 24/7 champion. Okay,
Tell me when to put it up.
gentlemen. Last night at Monday Night Raw, we saw the emergence of a new heel. Okay, great heels. Their presence looms even when they're not there.
Okay.
Great heels take focus away from the segment. And we may have found possibly the newest and greatest heel WWE has presented in a long time, and that is this person.
Wait, Adam Pearce?
No, not Adam Pearce. It's not one of the Six Stooges behind him. No, my
Okay.
friends, my 24/7 champion of the week is the guy who kinda painted the inside of the Hell in a Cell.
No. What is this here?
Wait, look at this entire segment.
Oh yeah.
That
They missed the
entire
spot.
segment of the fence is not painted, and there are other parts of the cage of the cell that are also not painted. I don't know what happened in this segment. I don't have a clue
right.
what happened in this segment because of this asshole who barely painted the inside of Hell in a Cell. I mean, talk about the ultimate
Holy
heel
shit.
work.
TV, man, this got TV ready.
I
Yeah.
mean, what? I mean,
And were there like, yeah, so it looked like they were like a shade of silver and a different shade of like gray, but then there were also bits
Yes.
of red from like
Yes.
the old red cage.
But
I don't know if
look at
they
that.
had painted over it.
they put that together and they were like, "That's fine. That's enough."
Yeah.
Like guys, just a little bit of spray paint and you're done. But
That's
no, it was
crazy.
not just that massive section. There was also other little small sections, and it's all I was looking at. I was like, are there other places on the cell that aren't painted? Of course there are.
Wow.
And
I am
and
willing.
I hope I'm willing to bet someone in the back was watching that and was like, "Oh shit. Mark my
forgot to paint
words,
it."
it will not be that way for Bad Blood.
Oh God, no.
It will not be that
From
way."
from
Kyle
production
didn't
wins
paint.
to a production
That's-
failure.
That is my
No.
24/7 champion of the
I
week.
absolutely love it. What a barometer. What a scale, what a scale.
Scale,
what a
yeah.
scale rather of things. I don't know who to give it to. I'm gonna give it, you know what? I want to be positive this week. I'm gonna be a positive Patty. So I'm gonna give it to the excellent producers who put on the last monster standing matchup.
Oh, I thought you were going to give it to Dom Morgan and
No, that was just I just wanted to curse everyone.
Liv Mysterio.
Yeah, all I really wanted to do is curse everyone so that this way they could, you know.
I will give it to them on the condition. Here's a Tony Khan match for you. On the condition that in the first 20 minutes of Bad Blood, I see that cage is painted.
It's been properly painted.
Then I will allow the production team to win.
All right, that's fine. We'll come back to this next week and see if the cage has been painted. And if
Yeah.
the cage has been painted, production will get the win. For
They'll
the
get the
first
win.
time ever, we will have a delayed
late
winner.
delayed decision.
A delayed decision. We'll have to stop the count, and we'll need to recount it. And we'll might need to get the Supreme Court involved. It's going to be crazy. We'll find out what happens next week.
I will storm the steps of Rebooked if they end
Okay,
up
all
winning.
right, there we go. Ooh, all right. Woo. Real quick, where were you on January 6th real fast? We just want to just check in real quick.
I was just hanging out with some like-minded people. That's all I was doing on January 6th.
All right, folks, we're getting down to the end of the episode. Who's going to win the Royal Rumble? Jake.
Bronson Reed is going to win the men's, and the women's is going to be Roxanne Perez.
Ooh, Bronson Reed and Roxanne Perez. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going totally. I don't know why, but I like it.
I'm
That's what I'm going
feeling it. All right, Matt, who's going to win the Royal Rumble?
I didn't think about the women's one, so off the top of my head, I'm just gonna say Chelsea Green because it would pop the hell out of me, and I want her to
That'd be
win so bad.
hilarious.
And for the men's, it's gonna be Cody Rhodes. Yeah, right. How do you like that? I'm going off the wall for this early prediction because I have.
Fuck?
I don't know.
No.
Yes, because I don't know yet. I don't know. My brain is going crazy. I just got off a flight. I haven't eaten. You know what I mean? But
All right, you know what? That's fine. That's fine.
But I'm gonna put this little nugget out there. He's gonna lose it, like maybe at the Rumble in some big match, put himself into the Rumble and win. He's gonna pull a move like that and get right back to Mania, and subsequently gonna start his heel turn because he's gonna be our first ever 4-time Rumble winner. And people are going to be so sick of him by that 4th Rumble win, it'll be the ultimate Homelander heel turn for Mr. Cody Rhodes.
And do you know who he's going to throw out to complete that heel turn?
Who?
Say his name. Yeah,
That would
that's your final two is Cody Rhodes.
And
that would
Joe
be
Hendry.
Hendry.
Yeah.
For me, it's CM Punk and a returning CM Punk And because he
After
will
he's
lose
killed
after he's
on
killed Bad Blood,
Saturday.
and then he will disappear because that's the best way to protect him, and then he'll come back at the Rumble, and he'll probably win it, thus moving forward with they wanted to do last year. And then for the women, I actually do think Chelsea Green's going to win.
Wow. Okay. We have a little bit of a consensus there. Okay.
I actually was going to say Chelsea Green. It's either going to be Chelsea Green or it's going to be someone established. It's going to be like a Rhea or a Liv.
Returning Charlotte
Or returning Charlotte.
Something like
Charlotte,
that.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's either that or it's going to be, like Chelsea Green, and it's going to be a wild ride. I'd be all on that one. That would be incredible. All right, well, that is going to do it for us here today. But let us know, who do you think as of today? We're going to ask this question every week until the Royal Rumble, and I actually might even write it down.
We gotta have a tracker.
Yeah, we gotta have a tracker, and we gotta track who's
where
gonna
our
win.
barometer goes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have my buddy whip up a Sheets document for me where I can just type shit in, and then we'll keep tabs of it every single week, and then see what the community says as well. So yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. Who is going to win the Royal Rumble? And also, how excited are you for Bad Blood? Looking forward to Dynamite 5-year anniversary. We want to hear from you. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Join us on Discord as well. We have a great little community over there. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers too. And just found out that we have membership active on YouTube, I think, right? Did I read that right? Or AdSense?
We're there, or we're very close to that threshold. So keep an eye out. We may be adding, membership tiers, closing in on that YouTube partner program. Thanks to you, fine people.
We're getting there, little by little. If you build it, they will come. We're just a couple nerds who like talking about storylines, professional wrestling, right? How hard is that, people? It should be easy to build this. Okay, so folks, that is going to do it for us here today. It's been a blast. We'll look forward to catching all the craziness that happens this weekend, and we'll see you then, folks. Take it easy. Peace. Later.